What's good, everybody? This is That Guy Trades. Today we're looking at the dollar index, and as you can see from last week, we were anticipating a quarterly shift and we were bullish on the dollar. And now you can see this is the weekly charts. We started off this Monday, which is the 7th of July. We opened with a bullish move. And you can see from the closing of last week, we closed with an inefficiency, a weekly fair value gap above here. And these are the previous levels that we drawed out from last week. You can see the weekly candle went in consequent encroachments into the daily fair value gap. And you can see here we have the implied fair value gap just above our equal highs of buy side liquidity. Now we're going to go into the daily and see what's cooking. And we forgot to mention that besides on the weekly, let's just go back to the weekly just quickly. We also had a volume imbalance right here on the closing of last week. We had a weekly volume imbalance which he traded into right now on Monday. So let's go back on the daily just so you guys can get context of this volume imbalance we have here, because it was also the daily, right? But the daily volume imbalance, we closed it on last week Thursday. Then the weekly we traded into right now on Monday. And if you guys did watch last week's video, we said if the daily candle was to close above this fair value gap, we were going to look for it as a inversion fair value gap to offer some sort of support. And that's what happened here on Friday. So on Thursday we closed above. Friday we traded down and was treated support. And then you can see here Monday, which is today, 7th of July, we traded up as a form of support. And you can see here the daily candle on this wick, consequent encroachments. What did we do? We traded down, right there, went up. Inversion fair value gap, treated as support. And our targets could have been this buy side liquidity from Thursday, and the weekly fair value gap, and a daily volume imbalance, and another daily volume imbalance above here that we're still looking at, and also the crisp equal highs buy side liquidity and the implied fair value gap. So this is the quarterly shifts that we're still looking at and seeing how it's going to trade. And you can see the monthly volume imbalance. What did we do? Consequent encroachments of the daily fair value gap. So we're still looking at bullish moves for the dollar. We'll see how it trades and how it goes. And we can see here on the 4 hour how it looked. You can see here we had a 4 hour fair value gap that we traded into, and you can see how we balanced and how we stayed. As soon as we balanced, got to do that again. As soon as we balanced the fair value gap on the 4 hourly charts, we came here consequent encroachment of it, and inside of the fair value gap, which turned into an inversion fair value gap, and that's where the support came in. And you can even see if we go onto the hourly, we can see here this over here, this was NFP came out on Thursday last week, and we can see as we burst through, we left an inefficiency, an hourly inefficiency that we traded back into, and orders were being put in here, there, and there. Spot money was putting money in to eventually come and take out that buy side liquidity and touch into the weekly fair value gap. Now we can go just have a quick look at EurUsd. Yes, we can just start off by looking at the weekly. Let's go to the weekly. We can see the weekly on the EurUsd, very similar. So if you were watching the video from last week, you remember the weekly fair value gap that we had here from all the way. This is a fair value gap from 2021 September, fair value gap, and also over here, I'm not sure if you guys can see nicely, over here, a weekly order block, right? Now, and we can see here we have a weekly inefficiency here, right there, and zoom in nicely so y'all can see, and a weekly volume imbalance right here from the closing of last week. And you can see we started the week off bearish. So if dollar is bullish, we bearish on the euro dollar. And from the last video, we're talking about how we were looking for a quarterly shift, a bearish quarterly shift on the euro dollar. And we'll see how the week progresses and the month progresses. This is the markets, anything can happen. And you can see here, this is the fair value weekly fair value gap from 2021. You can see how we traded in once we balanced it, consequent encroachment of it. Look how the candles kept the bearish move here, and we had a daily order block right here that we touched it on Friday and we touched on today, and that was strong resistance for today for the bearish move. To trade it all the way down into the weekly volume imbalance, which could have been a drawn off liquidity for today. And just below we have our weekly fair value gap, weekly inefficiency. You can see here we have a daily inefficiency there, over here, down below, and there's our relatively equal lows down there, and also more liquidity from last month, and the implied fair value gap, weekly fair value gap. Now obviously we'll see how that goes. We can drop down to the 4-hourly charts and we can see how we traded within the weekly fair value gap, and there's the daily order block that traded into right there, and obviously here as well. And similar to the dollar, we can see if you were to do an implied fair value gap, this is consequent encroachment of this wick and that wick, how we traded within it, balancing in it. And we can see the hourly candle right there. So you can see the supports, or the resistance, excuse me, that we treated with the daily order block here. So this was NFP. We dropped down, came back up, resistance, order block, daily. We came here Friday, order block, daily. We came here Monday, order block, daily. And we traded down, New York session, we traded up, boom, down. And we had the consequent encroachments, the daily consequent encroachments as resistance to spark the move, and traded right here into our weekly volume imbalance, which could have been the drawdown of liquidity for today. And yes, that's the price action that we have so far for this week, and we hope to see the goings of the week. Now I'm not sure if you guys, we could see also pound. I can show you guys pound, what I like seeing with the pound. You can see also, because the pound was also bearish for us, took our buy side there last week, Tuesday, boom. Wednesday traded down, we had a market shift, we left an inefficiency, we traded into the inefficiency on Friday, and then what do we do as the week opened? Boom, we closed down. We took out Thursday's liquidity, and we still have Wednesday's liquidity and this inefficiency, but we are trading into this high resistance area over here. Look at how the liquidity balanced over here. So it's going to take quite a bit for us to get through the zone here. We have mitigation here, or you can say break a block here. there. You see these lines here. It's going to be hard for us to get here. We could see retracement back up before coming down, or we could just, you know, trade down, but this is resistance over here for us, so it will take a lot for us to break through this. But yeah, that's just the pound. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys had some insightful views from the video. This is that guy's trade. Don't forget to leave a comment, like, and subscribe, and I hope you guys have an eventful trading week.